very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us for the first edition of the show this week. That's the Tuesday edition. Promises to be exciting as always. Good to see you once again. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Let me take you through some of the things to expect on the show tonight. Tonight we will talk about Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder later on the show. They're going to be having a press conference ahead of their fight. The third installment of their fight on July 24. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about women's handball, the story of Nigeria's women's team, not something good coming out of Cameroon. We'll talk about that as we move on. As expected, the European Championships will get us talking. And, of course, the Olympics will also get us talking. We will also look at what is happening here on the domestic scene and also give you a slice of tennis as we move to the next Grand Slam. Of course, we'll also talk about tournaments that will herald the grass court season leading up to Wimbledon. So we'll look at all of that. And in special focus tonight will be Britain's Andy Murray. He appears like he's back. And so we'll talk about him as we move on the show. Later on, I will be joined by my guests and my partners on the show tonight, and we will be taking a look at all of the things I've told you about, and of course, any other thing that pops up in your exciting, fast-paced, and money-spinning world of sports. We need to move on the show. And our first port of call on the show tonight is handball. And of course, we'll talk about the not too palatable story of the women's national team of Nigeria and what has happened in Cameroon. Let's take a look at the quarterfinal results. That's where we start off the show tonight to talk about how the journey ended for Nigeria's team. Of course, they were up against the host, and it turned out to be the end of the road at the quarterfinal stage. Very sure it's going to come up on your screen, but let me read it out as we wait for it to pop up. Of course, you have Cameroon defeating Nigeria 44 points to 14. Then you also have Angola beating Congo DR 29 points to 20. Also, you have Tunisia and Guinea 27 points to 20. That's Congo-Brazzaville, also had a slim victory over Senegal, 21 points to 20. And as a result of these matches, Cameroon, Angola, Tunisia, and Congo-Brazzaville have made it through to the semi-finals of the competition. And of course, Team Nigeria will be back. We'll take a look. We'll probably x-ray all of the things that happened right there in Cameroon. But it's safe to say that the journey has ended for Nigeria with what transpired right there in Cameroon. It was a 30 points margin loss for Nigeria. The performance wasn't good at all for Nigeria. But of course, it's a learning curve, and hopefully Nigeria will learn from this, and we will be able to move on, learn the lessons, move on, and of course be better prepared for the next opportunity to shine on the continental stage. So that's it for all the results that you have right there on your screen. So that's what has happened today. And I've told you about the teams that have progressed. And so just a confirmation of that from what has happened. Hopefully, like I said, we learn our lessons, we'll move on. It's good that Nigeria is playing among Africa's elite, but the journey has ended at the quarterfinal stage. So Nigeria will come home to pick up the pieces and, of course, try for next time. And probably it will be better luck next time. Let's move on from handball and talk about the big one on the show tonight. Talking about the Olympics, the biggest sporting event on the planet. And of course, we'll continue with our countdown on the show just to let you know officially from where we stand. 38 days to that event. Talking about the multi-sport event. It's just barely over a month to the Olympics, and it's getting interesting by the day. We've talked about the dissenting voices going down, and those who want the Olympics to be held, their voices getting louder and louder. So it makes for a very interesting time in Japan, most especially in the city of Tokyo, where most of the events will take place. Everything is shaping up right about now. It's just 38 days to go, and hopefully we will have top-class events. A couple of decisions still left to be made. A decision on whether the fans at home, that's fans in Japan, would be allowed to be physically present at all of the events, or they will probably sit somewhere and watch from probably their TV sets or wherever. Of course, Japan has the technology to make all of those things possible. So we will be monitoring what the authorities in Japan will do as regards that. So we'll see what happens. But let's quickly tell you something the IOC has put forward, talking about the International Olympic Committee. They expect 70 to 80% of the news media covering the Olympics in Tokyo this summer to be vaccinated. That's what they're expecting. That's the expectation. And they have also updated their coronavirus guidelines for the games. Also coming from the IOC, they want every sports delegation arriving in Japan to have a COVID-19 liaison officer coordinating with the organizers of the measures to stop the spread of the event, to stop the spread of virus at the event, which is billed to start on July 23rd. Athletes and members of the media whose movements will be restricted will also be subjected to GPS monitoring for the first 14 days of their stay in Japan. A lot of efforts towards ensuring that the Olympics do not become a super spreader. And of course, you can understand why all of this is happening. So IOC expecting 80% vaccination rates from especially from the news media organizations covering the events, and by extension, the athletes as well. Let's take a reaction from the IOC when we return. Of course, my colleague Austin Okon-Akpan is waiting in the wings. He will join me as we take a look at all of these issues and more on Sports Tonight. But first, let's take a listen to what the IOC has to say and the elaborate plans to ensure that 80% vaccination rate is achieved. IOC obviously not joking around with their expectations from news media, men and women covering the events, and also from the athletes. It's a big job, a big task on the hands of the IOC. And let's not forget the assurances they've given to the people of Japan that they will ensure the safety of everybody that comes into Japan. That if Japan has anything to worry about, it's about their own population, not the people coming into Japan. Okay, let me bring Austin Okon-Akpan into all of this. Good to see you, Austin. Thanks for joining me on the show tonight. And straight away, I'm going to throw you in to the matter of the Olympics and what the IOC is trying to do, achieving 80% vaccination rates for the news media guys. That's the category we fall into. And of course, the athletes and officials coming from the countries that will participate at the Olympics.
Yeah, it's further great to hear me to you and all our viewers from watching us from different parts of the world. That's the least the IOC can do, ensure that they maintain standards, ensure that safety protocols are not breached. And, these days, the vaccination brings some level of hope, So the IOC, for me, I would even say 99% vaccination rates will do it. But that 80% is encouraging. And this is the sort of stories that they need to put out there to, make persons feel comfortable about the Olympics holding despite the pandemic still very much around. With the media, they're not joking around. With athletes, they're not joking around. The media, they've said, look, we're going to track you with GPS. When we tell you don't cross this perimeter, you need to stay there. That's making you wonder if it's the Olympics, because the Olympics is an event that, you go spread your wings, you meet people from different countries, you showcase the cultural heritage of the city that is hosting, you see hospitality at a different level. So it makes it so tough to accept that the Olympics is going down in this sort of format. But hey, it is what it is, and it's safety first. So the IOC, they need to put out this level of assurances because they know that those dissenting voices are still there in Japan, and there are persons who are waiting for just the slightest mistake before this event kicks off to say, look, didn't we say it? Don't host it. It's too dangerous to take the risk. 34 days to go, and there's still a lot of things that they can do to ensure that it doesn't get from bad to worse. So let's see. We can only wish them all the best. Every week we come here, there's a new assurance from the IOC. There's one from the Tokyo official saying, look, we want to do this thing. I told you that they just want to host the Tokyo Olympics, so get it out of the way, because it's going to be so sad for Japan with all the losses they've experience not to have this Olympics. It will be painful. Yeah.
Let me butt in quickly. I need a quick response on a personal note. Now listening to all of these things, you're going to have GPS, you're going to have tracking. On a personal note, are you not wondering why people would still want to go to that kind of event, especially with some of the reservations you have? Does it bother you that people will still want to go in spite of the very risk of probably contracting COVID-19 and the fact that you're probably going to be in a bubble, you're going to be shackled in some way, not physically though, but you're going to be monitored. Does it make you wonder why people would still, but it's on a personal note though?
Yeah, but remember I spoke to you the other day and I reminded you that our job is like that of the military. It is a job of get up and go, but then we take calculated risk. So for the media, which we belong, I tweeted at you the other day. I said, if the company says, come go cover the Olympics, I don't think you're going to say no. You're just going to weigh the option and just do those things that you need to do to stay, to stay safe. Our job is that of service, So it's tough. It is what it is. If the Olympics is holding and persons are going, then it tells you that, look, they've calculated the risks, they've taken a look at it, and they just have to be there. You can't think about the Olympics without the media. Same with the athletes. They are driven by passion, by zeal, by determination, commitment. Some want to even dare the untried. What is it like going to the Olympics during with the pandemic and go create a new story? This is the time that I told you that the world has been refreshed because of COVID-19. So records can be broken easily. The top guys can go there and get distracted. Somebody in their camp might just test positive or is having some symptoms, and then that can distract that top athlete. And then once one young Ayana Cho from Nigeria will just jump on the opportunity and win gold in Taekwondo. So it's a lot, You ask for a personal opinion, and these are the things I'm seeing about the Olympics that we will just laugh over it and say, didn't we say it? Look at the top leagues in Europe. In Spain, we had a surprise winner in football. In Germany, we got a surprise winner. In Italy, same thing. So COVID has in a way come to, turn things around for us to know that, look, it's not business as usual.
Okay. All right. Okay, let me also bring Kehinde Idris into the thick of things. He joins me in the studio. First, Kehinde Idris, I want to thank you for making out time to be here. A busy day, I know. Thanks all the same.
Yeah, thank you so much also. It's good to be here eventually. And I heard you talking about the handball, which is kind of personal because it has to do with Nigeria and playing Cameroon again for the second leg. I knew it was going to be tough, and we saw how the scoreline ended. For the Olympics, I think the story is the story that I keep telling people. As of the time the NBA All-Stars were to hold, a lot of basketballers were skeptical. People like LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, they were all speaking out saying, must we have, the NBA All-Stars? But the moment the All-Stars started and then the All-Star ended, all of these players were very happy that they were part of the All-Stars. And also the fans enjoyed every bit, forgetting all the worries. Okay. So the Olympics might just take us to that point.
All right. You also touched up on the handball, and we saw some of the clips.
Yes.
A quick one on that. I personally said we'll learn our lessons.
Of course.
And hopefully we'll move on.
27 years ago was the last time we were in this competition. As of then, we were perennial campaigners. We've been in the finals 4 times. We won once. We are losing finals 3 times. So it is not, we're novice to this. But this time, over the years, the decay, the rot went deeper and deeper. But there is a board that is doing something. And now you've gone there. DR Congo also got ousted today. One of the best team in Africa. Cameroon hosting, also one of the top teams. So you can understand the competition at that level. But we got to the quarterfinals via that luck of being the second best loser from, you know, the group stages. And like you said, I heard you talking about comeback, pick the positives. And if we do that always, I think we can always get better. These girls, we can remember I was talking to the media officer to the Handball Federation of Nigeria. He said the best player the league just ended couldn't even make the cut into the team.
Right.
That is how competitive this team, you know, getting to the competition was. But you got there, you met better prepared team and also a better motivated team, and they are here. Let's go back, pick the pieces, pick the you know, positives, and we'll build on from there.
All right, we'll build it up from there. All right, so let's move on. Let's revert to the Olympics. That's where we are, where we were when you joined, and let's bring it home and talk about what's happening on Friday. There was a special event. Patience Okonjo, you want to call her Patience Akpan, still the same person, and Elizabeth Ayanacho have been adopted to by the African Children Talent Discovery Foundation ahead of the Olympics. That's the major story over the weekend, and we're very happy. Of course, we had monies paid into the accounts directly to ensure that these two athletes prepare very well
without
for
borders,
the Olympics, without anything on their mind. I'm so very happy. You're seeing pictures from that event, and you see the direct beneficiaries in your picture. The sports minister was there, Daniel Amokuchi, sitting beside one of them. You had, I mean, people who've represented Nigeria at the Olympics,
at the highest level,
were also there. And I like the way all of this is going. And of course, the beneficiaries were very happy, and I mean, had a few words to say about those who were able to help them in their quest to win some laurels. Let's just take some reaction from the event. We'll come back to talk some more on all that transpired at this event and how we hope it will spur Team Nigeria to do well at the Olympics.
I hope you know the meaning of adoption. It actually means you are one of us. It means you are a part and parcel of ACTDF. And I want to let you understand that ACTDF is the home of champions.
Yes. That means you must win something for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's no doubt. I mean, you've seen the Bull, one of the greatest in the world. You've seen Tijani Babangida. You've seen myself. I can tell you there's much more. There's Garba Lawal. There's Austin Edwavon. There's Kanu Wanko. There's JJ Okocha. All these iconic names are all ambassadors of this great foundation. So if the foundation not only has arrays of champions, but people who are readily available to advise you, to talk with you, to share with you their experiences on your way to the top. As soon as I saw you, I saw a champion. That's how I got to know that it was you. I told my guy here.
We're always backing on all the private sectors to come on board, because we need a change and it's time for a change. You did say earlier, in the last 12 to 16 months, I think Nigerians have been doing wonderfully well around the world. From basketball to track and field, to other sports. You know, just 2-3 weeks ago, we broke a long jump record that we've been sitting since 1996.
25 years.
5, you know, it's 5 years.
25 years.
It's been crazy. And that's the generation that we are. And if we have some generation, I think, like you said, Mr. Chairman, and Noah Dalaje, we need more of you to showcase.
When I heard the news, I jumped up. I shout and shout and shout. I couldn't stop, because this is what I've been longing for a very long time. And I promise to make this foundation proud. I promise also to make our great country, Nigeria, proud.
All right, been able to bring smiles to the face of the athletes, the African Children Talent Foundation Discovery there, making that possible. Hopefully we get to see more. Let's go on a break now. When we return from that break, the guys with me will talk about this event and a lot more. As we speak, Germany and France currently slugging it out. We'll come back to tell you what's happening in that game. All right, welcome back. Of course, we're still on the matter, talking about talent discovery, talking about the Olympics, talking about Team Nigeria. I mean, Kehinde Idris, you were nodding your head.
Yeah.
You listened to Patience Okon-George, and you listened to
Ayana
Daniel Amokachi, Emmanuel Babayero, all of them very happy that we're getting the opportunity to encourage. I'm very happy that people are responding to the sports minister's initiative
yeah.
to get on board and support these athletes. Let's not say it's just 38 days to the Olympics. It doesn't matter.
Let's leave the talk.
Just let's support these athletes.
You know, January last year, when this initiative had the sitting and the talks on adopt an athlete and all of that, towards the end, there was the talk of, okay, if you are not even adopting an athlete, adopt an idea that builds, adopt a facility that helps, sports men and women or sport boys and girls to grow to that next level. And that is how expansive this initiative is. Now, also in 2018, I keep going back to Haruna Kodri and that big, huge company in Nigeria that put 38 million somewhere for his travels. As a table tennis player, you travel like every other week. There is the Dusseldorf Open, there is the Brisbane Open, always traveling. And you are not bothered about monies to get to those venues. All you have to do is secure your visa and there is money somewhere.
Go there and perform. No distraction.
And that is what these athletes are enjoying. With some weeks ago, 6 athletes adopted by Delta. And then we were here, the likes of Eseprume, Okagbare. Now they are telling you all of your preparation should be just about the track. If you're about the court, it should be about the court. Do not bother yourself about anything. And when we're talking of spurring you on to winning, these are one of the ways. So let's leave the talks and everybody gets on board by action.
All right, let me bring Austin into it. You listen to what Kehinde Idris just said, Austin, and do you see any of these things having an impact on the Olympics? It's a little too soon, I understand. But do you see all of these efforts to adopt these athletes here, adopt that athlete there? Do you see it having any impact on the Olympics? Or we probably should wait till the next Olympics and probably we begin to see the games at that point?
Yeah, I mean, it's better late than never. Definitely to have an impact. What is good, And with athletes' welfare, you will never miss it, because it affects their mood. It affects them psychologically. It's just something about letting people know that you care about them, even if it's the final minutes. Because we've come to it's pure fact now that we do the fire brigade approach. It has been happening before you and I were born, and it seems we don't want to change it. So those athletes will be pleased that, thank God they are coming 34 days to the Olympics. And it got sweeter that they are around legends. We see the likes of Daniel Amokachi, Emmanuel Babayaro, Garba Lawal, the likes of Austin J.J. Okocha talking to you about the Olympics. They've been there, won gold. That's enough motivation. You remember when I used to tell you guys that it's not about most times giving money. It's about letting people feel love. It's about a simple phone call. It's about the association. It's about appreciation, the basics. So shout out to the ministry. When they do good, we'll remind them and say, well done. When Sunday Derek came, this is part of what he said he was going to do. He was going to make sure athletes welfare is taken care of. We brought the Adopt initiative, and we're doing well with that, with the talents that are being adopted, and of course, infrastructure. Let me quickly touch on what Olufunke Oshonaike posted 2 days ago. She went to Italy preparing for the Olympics. By the way, she's going to be making a record 7th appearance at the Olympics. And she saw a beautiful SUV that a sponsor in Italy gave to a table tennis player, Deborah Vivarelli. Vivarelli is just 28 and attending her first Olympics. The country is rallying around her. Sponsors are coming left, right, center to support her so she can give Italy a good representation. Olufunke Oshonaike saw that and was wowed. This is somebody who has been representing Nigeria since she was 14. I mean, younger self from the junior level. She's going for her 7th Olympics, and that wowed her. And she had to say, guys, this is what I'm talking about. We need to do more. The ministry must work with the private organizations. We must put together things that will solidify athletes' welfare and appreciation in Nigeria. Look, all over the world. There's no saying on the streets like credit alert can cure malaria. So imagine if you take care of an athlete that is going to the Olympics. The athlete will have it at the back of his or her mind that I just need to repay this love. Shout out to Chika Chukwumerije for all he's doing for Elizabeth and Yanacho. We are not hearing that he's giving her 200 million naira every week, but he's giving her guidance. And that guidance is what is now making people to come to adopt her. She owes Chukwumerije a good performance at the Olympics. She owes her country a good performance at the Olympics. That's what good welfare does.
All right. I had to restrain myself from laughing. I mean, a lot can cure malaria. I mean, that's a good one. All right, let's move on. Let's move on the show. And the sports ministry is involved in the next thing we're going to talk about. And I'm not so sure we might be full of praises as we are about this next one we're going to talk about because it's already looking like a recipe for disaster. But let's quickly talk about yesterday. Of course, we heard that the FN board has been dissolved. Then, before you know it, you're having 2 elections in 2 different places, and it's our job to report. Let's start from what happened in Kebbi, as you can see in your picture. I mean, notable in that picture, very obvious in that picture, former sports minister Solomon Dalong obviously was there in Kebbi, and some other people who felt this was the right place to be, and of course, that's what happened right there in Kebbi and Abuja, 2 places where elections took place. And,
you're thinking about mentioning 2 places or one.
but it's I don't know how we're already calling it the leadership tussle. I remember we had something like this in football, and it lasted many years. But let's just quickly talk about it as we move on the show. 2 elections providing 2 different leaders. And let's start from the one that happened in Abuja. Of course, that the sports minister has inaugurated. Let's show to you that the constitution of that board. You're going to see it shortly. It's going to come up on your board. What happened right there in Abuja? You have Tonomok Okowa as the president, Gadzama Tafida as the first vice president, Rosa Collins as the second vice president, Arono Mohammed is a member, Yusuf Liman, Victor Okorie, Solomon Alao, Onikeku Samuel, Professor Emmanuel Ojeme, Henry Okorie, and Maria Warfield. So those are, and that board has been inaugurated by the sports minister. You can see pictures right there, and also you had another one in Kebbi. Even talking about it gets you so confused.
Sometimes nauseated.
And it's recipe for disaster. Also, let me get a quick one from you. I know Kenny Dave Idris has a lot to say about this, but also just a quick one on all of this. It's looking like we're about to shoot ourselves in the foot again with some of the things that has happened. I'm very careful not to blame anybody to say this is it, but I mean, we can all agree that having 2 separate elections for 1 board is a recipe for disaster.
I was hoping you would ask me about this, Yemi, because I struggle to understand why we don't learn as a country. It's such a shame, such a disappointment. When I covered the 2017 Federation elections, and I remember telling a very pathetic story about basketball and how it's going to affect us as a country. One election was done in Kano, another one was done in Abuja. Even when Musa Kida was to an extent accepted, it affected the growth of basketball in Nigeria and still affecting it. Where is club basketball in the country? Yeah, we're doing well with the national teams, but the crux where development is respected is back home, is at the foundation, and basketball is suffering from it because it's a divided house. Same thing with athletics. And I just laugh at everybody that thinks that they know what they are doing. They don't know what they are doing now until maybe in 5 years' time also. And then you just realize that 5 years of your life you contributed to just stalling athletics in Nigeria. It's painful. And that's why it's difficult to talk about this, because we didn't learn from the previous experiences.
All right. Okay.
I want to charge the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Sunday Dare. We just praised you with the Adopt a Talent initiative. We said, well done what you're doing with infrastructure. You're someone that I know, and I know is listening to a lot of people. And it comes to a stage where you want to think about your legacy. You just want to think about your name. Think about Nigeria first and disregard whatever people are saying to you. And just do what you have to do as a leader so that you can be remembered for good.
All right. Okay.
When you want to take those decisions and you don't know where to go, maybe you should just pray, because this is going to destroy athletics in Nigeria. I'm so sad. I mean, I don't even. I've been getting calls that, oh, Austin, you didn't congratulate me. You didn't. I'm like, congratulate you about what? About this confusion? About this mess?
Yeah.
About us not thinking once again?
Yeah, I know. If we can go on and on and on talking about this, and I'm as disappointed as you are. We can spend the whole show talking about this, but like I said, recipe for disaster. It's going to be fair to allow you talk about it as well. I know you feel the same way as Austin.
Yeah,
you have
got it. Really got it.
You have Tonobak on one side. You have Gusso.
We just came from
one side getting the support of the sports ministry.
Gusso on one side. Then there is Olamide George on one side at a point. And then the board was resolved. When there was board resolving or resolution, we thought, okay, this will be returning everything to status quo, and then we start on a clean plate. But this is what we got. Just Monday morning, and then you're having two elections at once. Who sanctioned both elections? Is it that the ministry couldn't prevail over these elections and some persons have enough power? Now, the GOSO board that the minister did not, probably will I say the ministry do not really recognize, had African representative from the African Table Tennis Federation been present there. That is to tell you that in the African, board, this board is also recognized. So we're talking of recipe in the ministry. You're not recognizing this board, and Africa is recognizing this board. Can you see how deep this whole fight has not even, begun, but it's already looking as deep? Now, he mentioned basketball. He mentioned a lot. Look at football some years ago. Giwa and the whole Phoenix story. We knew I was almost dragging our football to a place where we don't want to be. And we are still continuing in this way. If you do all of the good, and there are these gray areas, I think sometimes it might just take the entire shine of what you did in, the entire period.
All right. So, I mean, it takes your breath away, really. It makes you really sad. But we have to leave it at that. We're pressed for time, and we have to go on the show. I'm just hoping, like a bad dream, we will wake up to find out that it did not happen. That's my hope. But like I said, looks like a recipe for disaster. Let's move on the show, and let's just quickly go to Europe and see if there's a live score. If, of course, there's any updates to give to you. Of course, there's a rescheduled game in the Nigerian Professional Football League. We'll talk about that much later. But first, let's quickly go to, of course, right about now, game in the dying moments. An own goal from Matt Hummels has given France the lead, and we're in the dying moments of the game. Portugal, it looked like it was going to be a draw.
Yeah.
But Cristiano Ronaldo showed up. Guerrero as well was helped by a deflection, and they won. In a minute, I'll get your thoughts. I'll get Austin, then we'll get back to the rescheduled game. In a minute,
I think for the Portugal game, even if you didn't see that game, you would think, it's supposed to be this way.
Yeah.
But if you had seen that game, the discipline, yes, and the very dogged defensive idea that Hungary
guys from Hungary even had a goal chopped off.
And I felt probably they were a bit outdone. For the France game, I think these are games you want to see at levels like this, the European Championship, and it's living up to the billing.
All right. Austin, a quick one on that as well. I'm very sure you're talking with us and you're trying to monitor what's going on, the game in the dying moments. If you can, in a minute, those two games, Hungary, Portugal, France, Germany, currently going on.
Yeah, Hungry Portugal. Yeah, I thought it was a tight one also, and then things just got turned around for Portugal. You keep asking when will we start respecting Cristiano Ronaldo? You know, when you watch that one and see that he keeps turning up when you want him to. Portugal, France, Germany is still 1-0. At some point, I think in the 50th minute, end-to-end stuff. First, it was. Adrian Rabiot with a chance to score, struck the bar, and then it was the turn of Serge Gnabry, also struck the bar. He would have taken that, but he failed to. Kylian Mbappe giving us some dazzling runs, troubling the German defense, but it's still 1-0, and with the head-to-head France leading, it's like they're just going to add to that. But it's football. Well, let's see. You never know.
Of course, you never know. And you talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. On the strength of those 2 goals that he has scored, he has become the all-time top scorer in European Championship. Before this tournament, they were asking the coach, can you bench this guy? It seems the team plays better without him. And he said, look, we are stronger when he plays.
Yeah, it is obvious. You see there is a focal point whenever he is around. Even if he's playing on the side, there is a place. I saw Bernardo Silva do those runs and whipping that ball, and it's always aimed at Cristiano Ronaldo. Because if he's not using his height, as in trying to connect with the ball, he's controlling the ball and also helping out to give space to other players. So it gives them like a direction. So they play better with Cristiano.
All right, I play better with Cristiano. Let's quickly talk about tomorrow. What's going to happen tomorrow at the Euros? I'll get Austin's thoughts on this one as well, and probably might be our parting shot because we're pressed for time. Let's quickly take a look at fixtures for tomorrow. There's Wednesday's games in the European Championship. We'll let Austin talk about that. But we'll take a quick break. Those are the fixtures. Austin, you've seen them. We'll come back to talk about it. We'll press for time. Probably in a few minutes, we'll have to wrap things up. But we need to go on a break. We'll come back for more after this break. All right, welcome back. Austin is about to talk about those 3 matches. We're probably less than a minute to go, but I do trust Austin can make it work. So talk about those 3 matches. What do you think is going to happen?
I'm just going to stay with what's going to happen in Group A. Important game for Wales and Switzerland, you know. But the Italians, with what they showed in the first game, beating Turkey by 3-0, you fancy them to easily go on to win that one and move on. But hey, it's football, anything can happen. The Turkish team, before the Euro started, they had a very good defensive record, but it didn't just happen for them in their first game, so they need to bounce back also with a win. So I told you before the start of this competition that it's going to be very tricky. It's not one that you just jump up and say this team win or that team win. So Wales and Switzerland playing a draw in the first game and Italy going on to win just still leaves that group open. So we'll wait and see till tomorrow.
All right, Austin, I want to thank you for your time on the show today. Hopefully we'll do this again some other time.
Always a delight to talk sports.
All right, so Kehinde Idris, as we go, AFCON, even though you think everybody has qualified, the hotly disputed game between Sierra Leone and Benin Republic has been played. Sierra Leone pipped Benin Republic.
Yeah, eventually this game was played. As of then, I don't want to go back to the ugly incident, but sometimes some things you just feel, why does it happen to Africa? But it has happened, and now it's been managed well here, and Sierra Leone has taken the day.
Okay.
For the MPFL, Enyimba against Rangers, hopefully this will be one of the outstanding games that Enyimba will be able to take. But playing Rangers, this is a banana peel.
All right, so that's it. We've come to the end of the show. That's a wrap. First, I want to thank Kehinde Idris for finding out time to be here today.
It's good to be here always.
Hopefully we'll do this some other time.
Of course.
All right, thank you as well for allowing us to be a part of the day. It was a rush, but of course, hope that we made it worth your while. We'll be back here again tomorrow. Take you on a trip across the money spinning world of sports. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.